Hi folks, we are Sophie and Philippe, two professional chefs and regenerative farmers. Currently we're setting up our second regenerative farm in central Portugal, where we grow food for our local community and share our knowledge both on the land and in the kitchen. On this channel we take you along on the farm's development and we show you how we grow, cook and preserve nutrient-dense, regeneratively grown, delicious food. In a time where the food we're eating is literally killing us, the most powerful and impactful action one could take is to consume nutrient-dense, regeneratively grown, clean food. Let's grow it, let's cook it, let's do it. Hi folks, and welcome back to our channel. In this episode I'm going to make up on a promise, because if you've been following you know that we have been doing a farm series where we are visiting regenerative projects in Portugal. We are showcasing these projects here on our channel alongside the normal content that we do, which is of course growing, cooking and preserving delicious food and showcasing the progress of our own farm build here in central Portugal. So last week we were supposed to showcase a wonderful project called Lugar da Terra. We didn't do that. Very bad, I know. That was due to a faulty audio take on my behalf, so error on the technical side. I made up for that this week. I went over there, we did another interview. It was wonderful seeing Job and Tanya again. So without any further ado, here it is, Lugar da Terra.
Welcome to
Lugar da Terra.
Meet Job and Tanya, the passionate owners of this small but very abundant syntropical farm near the ocean in the district Torres Vedras. When we visited the first time, the weather was a lot less sunny and we arrived just as they were harvesting for their weekly vegetable deliveries. The garden was a forest of edible things, all mixed in together. The harvest felt like an intuitive hunt or a foraging session. We saw banana plants, beetroots, atriplex and much more, all growing in the same bed. The yield was fragrant, abundant and colorful. Once the weekly veggie orders were packed, sacked and loaded and ready to make their way to their lucky new owners in Lisbon, they kindly showed us around on the farm. They showed us their mobile chicken coop, built out of the frame of an old IBS container, the wide diversity of plants they have growing on the farm, both edible, ornamental as well as growing for biomass, and they had a great natural fence built with kanna. In their greenhouse, they hang their seedling trays to prevent snails from slithering on them, and furthermore, I marveled at Job's neat and practical bin organizing system and his vertical vermicompost system. Job and Tanya practice what is called syntropical farming, a style of farming that has been made popular by, amongst others, Ernst Goetsch, with whom they studied in 2011.
So hi, we are Job and Tanya and this is Lugar da Terra. Here we grow lots of diversity, lots of vegetables, and we sell them to restaurants. We make baskets and home deliveries, and we also give consultancy and workshops. So we really want to spread the knowledge about regenerative agriculture.
Spread the power!
Exactly.
It is not easy to stick a definition on the term syntropical farming, but the best one I came across is as follows. Syntropic farming is an intensive form of agroforestry that imitates market gardening and slash and mulch agroforestry in order to provide yields at all stages of succession and generate its own fertility, with the end goal of creating a productive forest that imitates the structure and function of a native forest.
It is an amazing way to really connect with soil. If you give the soil the opportunity, if you get all those seeds in there and basically give it the amendments in terms of compost or mulches and that sort of things, just as it happens in nature with the leaves falling from the trees and the tree branches falling down on top of the soil. This is what we're imitating, and this is what actually is the result of that. And I cannot say every time we're working on these systems, every time again, we're super surprised how well it works, how fantastic the results are.
We are not used to this mixture I mean, we are already, but a lot of people are not used to this mixture of plants. Normally we've been getting used to accepting as normal to see those monoculture fields, you know, like you grow one thing or you grow two and you sell to a big distributor and that's it. And what we have here is totally different. So we have a lot of things growing together. I think we also have this misconception that things together wouldn't work. You know, they would compete for light or they would compete for nutrients in the soil. They would not thrive together. But actually, it's very well known, also scientifically, that they do help each other growing. And in the beginning, we were really, you know, following the chart, like, oh, this goes good with that, you know, tomato, basil, and carrots. Or even this, like corn and beans and pumpkin, like the Three Sisters bed. But after a while, we just realized that a lot of things go good together. So, you know, we don't pay attention a lot to that anymore. We just follow a bit our intuition. We seed and plant very abundantly until, you know, this happens.
It is very much about doing. It's really about you as a person integrating yourself with natural systems and working with them and getting the very positive feedback that labor of you will give you. In the Syntropic garden, we're basically trying to start off with all these plants together at once in the beginning. And as farmers, we can start harvesting using this first flush of annuals and herbs and all, basically for ourselves. And while we do that, we are helping the system into a next stage of evolution, or how do you say that, succession.
So our land is 5,000 square meters, and this is just a little field where we have been starting this field with workshops. So the first workshop, we planted one agroforestry line, the second workshop, you know, third workshop. And in between we have these market garden beds, where we plant the annual plants. And that gives us obviously the financial return, the fast financial return. And this will give us a long-term return. We love that experience of actually planting this with the workshops, because people could see from scratch how to start a line. They can also follow up, you know, like how it's been growing. And we are already planting in between the 4 beds of market garden. So we always have a tree line and 4 beds of annual plants, then another tree line. And now we are already planting in between another tree line. So we got a new one just growing here. And yeah, this little field is so abundant. We hope to really be an example of how you can grow intensively, but, you know, regeneratively in a small scale.
You don't need a lot of space.
Exactly. When you have a system like this, you realize that you are not the focus of it. So it's not been wasted if you don't consume it. The whole ecosystem is benefiting from it. It will benefit you also after. Understand? As long as you keep on feeding the soil, keep on feeding the system, you know, chop what's too much, let it become soil, and it will definitely give a return to you. It's not a lost investment. So this is celery, and this is rhubarb, and this is blackberries, and this is raspberries, and a mulberry. We have difficulty in connecting the dots and looking at things in a holistic way, and that happens also in nutrition. So I feel like we are obviously trying to isolate some elements and testing, you know, calcium in milk, and not really testing all the interactions, or the fact that it comes in a package, comes in a context, and that calcium is obviously different according to where the milk comes from and how the cow has been treated and all that. So I feel like we all should first grow a garden, you know, and start eating from the garden, because that just blows your mind with how many options you have, how many plants we didn't taste before. You know, we don't have the intake from all this diversity, and we definitely should have.
Hi, this is a quick intermezzo in this video. I hope you're enjoying it so far. While I was editing this and I was getting our conversation onto this episode, I realized that Tanya and I spent a long time talking back and forth and just discussing basically nutrition and diet and people's relationship to food and our culture's take on food and agriculture, farming in general. And I think we hit some really interesting topics, and I was wondering maybe if it would be worth publishing that as a separate episode where we could just showcase that whole conversation unedited. Maybe that's something that some of you would be interested in. It's pretty niche maybe, so I think I'm not going to put it in this episode to make it very long, and I think it probably is a little bit niche. But if you're interested to hear the conversation between two regenerative farmers, one of whom is also a chef and the other one who's a nutritionist, then let us know, because I can make that happen. You can let us know in the comments below, or maybe you could send us an email, or any way you want to contact us, and then I'll make that available for those of you interested. If not, no offense taken, I totally get it. It's just something that I'm very passionate about, and I think Tanya is also very passionate about, so I thought I'd just flop this in here. Let's get back to the episode now, and let's hear what Tanya has to say about nutrition in general and its relationship to farming. I'm giving you some snippets of it.
I feel like we first have to open up our minds about what are the plants that we can eat, how much more species we should be eating, and how can we cook differently also, you know, like don't be so afraid to try out new things, because we are really supposed to be eating more diverse than we do. You know, we really limit ourselves to the 20 whatever, that's maybe a lot already, 20 varieties we would get in the supermarket. But, you know, Martin Crawford also says apes eat around 400 species. You know, there's so many edible species we should be surrounding ourselves with. So when you have a garden, when you're like more connected to the growing, you feel that bliss. You're like, wow, I'm going to be eating this tonight. You know, and when it comes to you at home, it's already different. It's already more processed, although, you know, it's so direct, but still it comes to me. What is this? I don't know the name. Can I use it all? Probably I have to throw the leaves out. You know, what can I do with this?
In order to help people who struggle with these problems along, Tanya has simple recipes up on their website to inspire people who consume farm-sourced veggies and are struggling to use the ingredients. They also sell bee wax and olive oil-based calendula balm. They make themselves on the farm with organic olive oil and their own calendula. But balm and biodiversity are not the only thing they create at Lugar da Terra. Job also designed a new compost depositing garden tool called the Dropper.
It is a tool to make your work faster. We are working at the moment with a prototype, so very soon we have a real model that is for sale. It's really something to spread materials over the beds, principally compost. What we can now do, instead of coming with a wheelbarrow and throw several piles on top of the bed and spread that with a rake, you can actually spread it much more homogeneously, so you can spread 1 centimeter over the whole bed, or 2 or 3. Yeah, and that saves in the end a lot also on compost, not only on workload but also on compost. So a wheelbarrow is still some weight on your back, and this is more a pulling and pushing flow.
I finished my conversation with Tanya asking what her advice is to anyone considering getting into farming.
I would use a sentence that I had in a poster on my apartment, and it was a friend of ours that made, and it said, "Begin anywhere." And when I'm in doubt, I think about that, and it's just really about, you know, just start and just go somewhere, wherever you can, and start. Whether if it's maybe the garden of your parents, maybe it's some, you know, so you can get some piece of land somewhere, maybe you get a community garden, maybe you start on your balcony with some vases. But I feel that we should not be spending too much time into the whole theory and the whole studying, because when it's about farming, I also believe that we know enough, and we will learn on the go. We will learn by doing. We will see, oh, this didn't work out, And you know, what is this time that we can just grab our phone and like, oh, how do I plant that? Oh, that, oh, easy. You know, you get your answers, and it's really about starting. We still get a lot of people in our workshops that I feel they are a little bit stuck on the theory, afraid to plant two things together. What if they don't grow? Plant too much. Whoa, what if I don't eat it? Like, that would be a very luxurious problem. Like, oh, I grew too much. What do? I maybe chop it and put it as organic matter on the ground. That's fine. You know, just put seeds. Just go and start seeding, start planting. And yeah, it will start unraveling everything.
Just begin.
Just begin, yeah.
And that concludes our visit to Lugar da Terra. I think one of the most impressive things about this place is that there is just so much biodiversity on such a small place, because 5,000 square meters isn't necessarily very big. So they really prove that you don't need a lot of land to farm. They're also very knowledgeable, and they organize all kinds of wonderful workshops. So if you're interested in knowing more about them, I'll leave their links below for their socials. Definitely check it out. On their website you can find what they're up to and how you can visit them. All right, let's dive right into our farm again, and let's go into the kitchen and make something delicious. Today we are going to really quickly whip up a farm-sourced meal using our fresh peas. We are cooking some peas in a sweet and sour smoked red pepper sauce, served with flaky flatbreads and some garlic and parsley dip. We are currently drowning in them, and these are already a little over that sweet stage. I cleaned these yesterday and created a good amount of organic matter to give back to the compost. First things first, let's start off with the bread dough. Just whip together 1 cup of organic white flour and half a cup of water, some baker's yeast, some olive oil and a pinch of salt. Knead this and set aside. Then chop up some garlic into fine chunks and fry it off until golden in a pan with some olive oil. Add some smoked red paprika powder, 2 tablespoons of white wine vinegar and a generous amount of honey and 2 tablespoons of soy sauce. Once this has cooked for about a minute or two, pop that to the side and cook your fresh peas for about 8 minutes in salted boiling water before draining them and setting them aside in some cold water until you will need them. Now start rolling out your dough in 4 evenly sized discs. Stack these on top of one another with a generous amount of butter spread between them. Then roll this stack out once more into a new disc and spread some more butter in between the hole, folding it over on itself 2 more times before rolling it out one last time. Press out your mini pitas using a cookie cutter with a 7 cm diameter. In a hot iron skillet, bake these off with about 3 to 4 minutes on each side. Once these are done, move on to poaching some fresh farm eggs for about 4 minutes. Make sure the yolks are runny. Remove them from the water and place on a plate or in a bowl with some cold water to cool them down. Now quickly whip up an olive oil mayonnaise with 2 cloves of garlic, 1 whole egg, 2 tablespoons of vinegar, 2 sprigs of parsley and a pinch of salt. Last but not least, heat up your smoked red pepper sauce and introduce your drained cooked peas. Just warm them through and then you're ready to serve. That concludes our episode, guys. I hope that you enjoyed it. You can find the full recipe on our website. If you like us, please don't forget to hit that subscribe button, give us a thumbs up and all that jazz. It's very much appreciated. See you on the next one, The Farming Chefs. Peace out.